All right, it's time for Hot Picks. Our next guest says Stella-Jones is an inexpensive way to play the utility infrastructure game. Maxim Sytchev is Managing Director of Industrial Products at National Bank Financial, and he often joins us to explain the wide world of industrials. But this is a sector, first of all, that's got a lot of interest for a lot of reasons right now. Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look, actually, the overall infrastructure spending in North America continues to kind of scale up for various reasons. U.S. is trying to, insource the capacity. Canada is trying to protect ourselves from the same sort of dynamic. But that means that all the companies need to kind of basically double up on supply chains. And the other big thematic, obviously, is power. AI is kind of driving, that whole train. $350 billion of capex is being spent by the hyperscalers. So, like, all these things are trickling down, and some companies obviously stand to benefit from that. And so we do think that the power thematic will have, continue to have pretty long legs. And as a result, we still feel that there is an accelerated curve of growth, which is coming later this year and into 2026. So as a result, I think overall people have to have an overweight position in industrials because of that dynamic, actually.
And the example of a power play within that sector that you like right now?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, there's various ways to sort of play it. Given the nature of my coverage universe, we'll find a very inexpensive way to do this is through Stella-Jones. As you mentioned, Stella-Jones, kind of like old school business, wood treatment. But 50% of what they do is that provide poles for transmission infrastructure. And I mean, historically, this space has been sort of slow growth, kind of replacement cycle. But they just made an acquisition recently of a lattice steel manufacturer in Quebec. And that will enable them to get access to the high voltage transmission market, previously to which they have no access to. And we do believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised if 10% of companies' revenue comes from that vertical. And obviously power through electrification, AI, all these things just driving more capex into the entire space. Investors have been somewhat disappointed in terms of growth over the last 6 months, but we do think there is an inflection point coming, and it's a very cheap, valuation from our perspective, only 13.5 times PE. So we do think that there's actually more legs to this story. So
there's also the engineering giants that fall into your coverage universe, and I'm sure they're all dealing with different, conversations and actual contracts around the power buildup. WSP is a stock that you wanted to highlight today. How come?
Yeah, absolutely. So WSP is actually the largest engineering pure play on the planet. The interesting dynamic is that, you talked about power. Power is roughly 11% of what they do. And then a number of months ago, they signed an exclusive agreement with Microsoft to be their designer of choice for all the data centers globally. And also WSP is injecting a lot of AI capability in terms of streamlining the actual design process. And then obviously the overall infrastructure thematic still stays very strong from our perspective. Investors were somewhat disappointed by Q2 results, reacting to organic growth of only 3%. Driven by APAC, so that's Asia-Pacific decline. But given the fact that backlog in that geography is rebounding right now, I actually feel that the path of least resistance is going to be an acceleration of growth in that geography. And when you combine with the company's very strong balance sheet at 1.5 times net debt to EBITDA, we think there is more capacity for WSP to do M&A. So it continues to have that sort of must-own status within the Canadian and really global industrial portfolios from our perspective.
They've definitely been acquisitive, but that's an interesting point you make, because even last year, Microsoft finding a new power source through Constellation Energy got a lot of attention. I can't think in other points in history where people would get excited about, data center contracting deals or shaping that, but Microsoft teaming up with WSP on data centers.
It's massive. I mean, and it's such a stamp of approval, obviously, for the global capability and scale of WSP to be able to undertake these types of projects, for sure.
Okay. Within your universe, you also cover Colliers, and that is a stock that you do like.
Yeah.
What would you say sort of stands out about that business right now?
Yeah, it's actually, so we went positive again on Colliers after disappointing Q3 2024, so that's last November. The stock has done okay, 7%, but I think there's more momentum. What's interesting, actually, 3 of its verticals right now are accelerating. So transactional business is doing better, so that's leasing, capital markets, because of easier comps, and rates have stabilized. And we do think actually rates will come down. They also established a very strong engineering platform, which is 30% of the top line right now comes from engineering services.
Which I'm not sure that people know that
You're absolutely right.
As much as they might need to, given the percentage there.
Yeah, exactly. So they've scaled this platform very rapidly. I wouldn't be surprised if it, going to hit like $1 billion top line in the next couple of years. So it's 30% right now. And organic growth for that business was 8% in Q2, so very robust. And then the investment management business, it was difficult to raise capital over the last 12 months because of rate increases. But what's interesting right now, we do think that rates will come down. And given U.S. administration push to allow alternative investments into pension funds, 401ks, you see stocks like Carlyle on fire on LTM basis. And we do think that capital raising activity is going to get better and easier for Colliers on a prospective basis. So when you kind of combine all of these three verticals right now are contributing strongly to the overall momentum. And stock is still not that expensive and lags the market, as I mentioned, relative to the time frame that we upgraded it. And we do think that there is more upside from the current levels.
All right. Helpful context as always. Colliers, Stella-Jones, and WSP. Maxim Sytchev, good to have you back with us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Maxim Sytchev joining us from National Bank Financial on some hot picks in